Welcome to Rauta. I am Jerry, and today we have, let's say, one of the younger generation of Finnish black metal here with me in my home city, Turku. We are having a special theme with bands ending with US. And this is Sarastus, which I guess could be translated something like a dawn. Is that correct, sir?
Yes, it is correct, yes.
And let's start introducing you. Who are you and what is your role in the band?
I am Dusk, aka Verdogger, and I play the lead guitar. I also compose the songs, all of the songs actually, and I do the mixing and mastering and all of that shebang.
So you're a master of many talents in the band.
Yes.
Could we go as far as to say you're the captain of the ship?
Yes.
All right. So let's start with the name, Sarastus. I mean, it has a nice ring to it. In a Finnish language, it doesn't sound weird and all that stuff. And of course, there's a, well, Dawn band with a similar name from Sweden. Why did you decide to go something that isn't outright negative or evil or satanic, dark, whatever, but kind of a, I don't know, promising in a way?
I think it came from the fact that all the band names that were taken were actually evil and stuff. So I wanted to go with opposite of that. And also like the new beginning of life and what I was dealing with back then. And I wanted to do something that's new for me back in the day when I did it like 10 years ago. And I think that's where it came from.
I make the bold assumption and say this isn't exactly your first or maybe even second band. How is your background prior to Sarastus?
When I was a teenager, I was playing melodic death metal, which was more like a rehearsal room, kind of a, you know, this kind of a hobby thing. And then after that, I was playing in a death metal band, but it didn't turn out to be anything other than we just played in the rehearsal room. And that kind of influenced me into playing something I wanted to play with certain kind of, how would I say, like better influence in it, that I was listening to different kinds of music back then, not only black metal. And that's pretty much how Sarastus came to be after the death metal band.
Now, a lot of black metal bands, obviously, even though we're talking about 90s or nowadays, have a death metal background, me included, Guilty as Charged. Why do you think it's so common that a lot of band people, even from different decades, different generations basically, start with more or less kind of a death metallic background and kind of a slide into the world of black metal, going darker and all?
I think it comes from the fact that a lot of death metal has this kind of hooks in the songs. Like it's very heavy and low tuning and everything. And then people get tired of it, and all the people in the bands, they have different kind of taste in death metal because there's so many different bands. Like there's early era of death metal, there's modern era, which they don't collide at all. It's so much different. And I think that's where it comes from, and people, they want to do something different after making death metal.
Do you think there's a big ideological difference in terms of you playing, for example, in a death metal band or bands versus playing in a black metal band?
I don't think so, no.
What is Sarastus then again all about? If we go into the lyrics or mindset of the band, themes, if you will, how would you summarize what Sarastus is all about in that sense?
I think it's because I'm a huge fan of movies and the books and stuff. I think it goes back to that. Like the first album, for example, had a story behind it. And I mean, I didn't write the lyrics for it. My old vocalist did, but it follows a certain kind of story, like movies do. And the main point of Sarastus is basically freedom. You're free to break the boundaries of black metal, what is known for in Finnish black metal. Because a lot of the bands are kind of the same. They have the same kind of lyrical themes, but Sarastus is completely different in that sense.
So you want to be a narrator rather than just creating individual songs and all?
Yes.
What made you to go for such a, say, tedious task?
Yeah, because it's different.
Just for the sake of it being different?
And it's going to be difficult to do something different, to do something new that hasn't been done in Finnish black metal before.
Now your music, I mean, in terms of melodies, which are very, very much present there, it's not the rawest of the kind, if not even the most melodic. It has a very, very Finnish taste to it. I mean, the patterns are something that you can instantly recognize this is Finnish black metal. How much of this is intentional versus just happening?
A lot of it is intentional because it is something you can't get rid of. You just can't. It's not going to be Finnish black metal. Even though I'm Finnish, but if you're going to make something that's, you know, it's going to sound like, let's say, South American black metal, it's going to be so much different. You kind of have to have these influences from other bands. And, I mean, you can have the Finnish black metal influences in your songs, but the basic riffing that Finnish black metal like Horna has, a lot of bands do it, and you just can't get away with it. I mean, you can't get away with the fact that you do it, and you just have to accept it.
Now, what kind of bands, if you got to like name drop, pay homage to certain bands, have inspired you most when you're thinking about composing songs, making riffs?
It's completely different to most people. Main influences, they go from post-punk like Joy Division, Japanese metal like speed and heavy metal from the 80s. They are my main influences. I love them to death, and then that was the main point of Sarastus also, to like combine the speed metal aspect of Japanese metal with Finnish black metal riffing. Have this melodic thing, like this hybrid.
That's kind of interesting, considering that the music with Sarastus doesn't exactly ring like anything like, well, Oriental, Japanese, Asian,
exactly.
wherever. So you kind of managed to filter all the ingredients into sounding something very, very Finnish and all that stuff.
That was the point, to hide it kind of from the mix.
How much your personal taste goes beyond the borders of extreme metal? Now that you mentioned speed and heavy metal and post-punk and all, how important it is to you to have like a diversity when it
Very important. Very important. Like most of the time I listen to synthwave, heavy metal, speed metal, like I said, post-punk, all kinds of stuff like that.
What about the other guys? How important it is to you as a captain of the ship to have people understand various genres in terms of like playing in Sarastus, making parts of music and influencing it?
I mean, they have a different kind of taste in black metal than I do, which I hold to my heart. It's very important to me, because then I get like this, if I compose songs, and of course if they give me an idea that, okay, this is not something that they would like, I will of course try to do something different. And they like such different bands than I do, then it's kind of I don't know how to describe it, but it's a very good dynamic in my opinion. That they like their thing, I like my thing, and we combine our taste together.
Now, you also being the captain, you also get to choose what works and what's not included. Yes. How important the other factors are when you're like choosing people to play in your band? Like how much is about chemistry versus skill versus, I don't know, other things like ideology and all?
I think it's very balanced with skill and taste and everything. I've known those guys for a long time, and I knew they're capable of doing it. And it's just like, it's probably because I known them for so long. So it was an easy match already. Because I knew what they like, they knew what I like, and they were interested immediately.
Now you're also coming from northern part of Finland, which has its kind of own scene, like so far away from, you know, southern cities like Turku, Helsinki, Tampere and all that stuff. Do you feel there's a certain, say, nature of its own in the northern parts of Finland when it comes to the scene, or is it just one big country, one big scene?
I think it's a lot different, to be honest. It's like, compared to me coming here, it's like there's people everywhere. Where I come from, there's not that many people. I come from a small town. It's very quiet all the time, and there's more nature there than here, even though Finnish is like mostly nature. But that does play an influence on everything, because I can just go out, you know, I can think about songs and riffs and lyrics and everything in peace anywhere I go. Even if I just go to my car, drive around, you know, it's very safe there, it's very quiet.
Can we say that it's a little bit isolated in a way?
It is, definitely.
Does it play a big nature? Like you said that you would go around, be it walking or driving a car, but I mean, does this isolation, especially when you were younger, was it affecting you? Like, this is like seeping into the music, that you're not among the crowd and all?
I think so, yes.
Now, talking about ideological points, which are very, very dominating in black metal in many bands and all that stuff, but you mentioned that you kind of wanted to do something different. What's your take on black metal as like ideology first, music second, or vice versa?
I don't like it.
You don't like it?
No, I think, for example, politics, I think politics should be kept out of black metal. I don't like it at all.
What about the more philosophical takes or anti-religious takes and all? Do they have in place in black metal, or are they just like mandatory thing with certain bands?
I think it depends on the band, to be honest. Some of the bands can pull it off very well. They can be very neutral with everything, but other bands just kind of take it too far.
In what sense, you mean?
It's kind of like it's not about the music anymore. It's more about the ideas of different things that they pursue with their life, and it's just like it loses the importance of the music.
Like music should be first. And
yeah, music always should be first, no matter what.
That's actually something very curious, because I tend to agree with that, but I'm also saying like a lot of bands, and I guess me included, consider parts of these ideological takes, whatever it is, very important. And especially nowadays, we have seen black metal scene kind of getting outside the traditional borders of first wave and second wave, with bands like going not only in terms of ideology, for that matter, but also like music-wise, going their borders. And there's even online discussions like how far you can go from the core of black metal and still call it black metal rather than, say, black gaze or post-black and whatever. Where would you draw the line? Like, this is black metal, this isn't. I know it's kind of hard to answer that, but like, do you have certain kind of limiters in your head in a way, like this is going too far and
that's
whatever?
A very hard question. I think it comes naturally to people who make black metal, and it's not only one thing. It's about lyrics, it's about the riffage, and it's, you know, the lyrical themes, and everything combined kind of creates this one thing that you can call black metal or not. It can be death metal, you know, but I mean, there's a clear distinction between death and black, obviously. So I think it's very hard to answer, because you just know when it is black metal.
So it's something like comes like automatically, instinctively in a way. Okay. What about the other genres? I mean, black metal is always seen, well, often seen, kind of a elitist takes, like, you know, drawing these lines, whereas death metal, thrash metal, well, doom metal in a way, and all that, they don't seem to give that much of a damn, maybe apart from doom metal purists. But do you think that's a gift or curse in terms of black metal being the kind of elitistic?
I think it's a curse. I think it has became this kind of a thing where it's, you know, it's more about the other things. It's not about the music anymore, with a lot of bands that, especially that come from Finland. And like I said, it always should be about the music. That's it.
What about certain riffs or melodies or just passages that you feel like you like them, but they don't feel like Sarastus-like fitting the band? What do you do with them? Do you have other projects where you can just like put them, or do you just discard them?
Well, I save every riff that I have, and there's so many of them. And I have another band, Fulgur, but Sarastus has been the main point of, you know, my life basically. And the Fulgur itself it's something will happen eventually with that, but not right now. But every riff, they will go into my riff bank, I call it, and I will do with the riff someday something I don't know yet.
So there, like, remains to be seen what happens.
Yes, but there could be some riffs there that I will discard. It just depends, you know, because you always come up with new riffs that could be better than the other ones, or I combine riffs together, and you know.
Now, a lot of people have been saying that heavy metal, or like usually it's an umbrella term, metal in general seems to be a genre that we will eventually grow up and leave behind. And when we're not kids, so we kind of mature up, we cut our hairs and get rid of the band shirts and leather jackets and become part of the normal society, if you will. But as it seems, a lot of people, of course, in metal are also getting older, not cutting their hair, but keeping the metal machine rolling onwards and all that stuff. What do you think about these people who think it's just a juvenile game or game of people genre for non-mature?
I think they care too much about other people and what the other people think about them.
You mean the outsiders or people leaving the metal scene?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. Because you shouldn't care about what other people think about you, how you look, what you wear. I mean, of course, you should always present yourself nicely as possible, but still, you shouldn't care what other people think.
Have you changed, seen some kind of changes in yourself? You being like teenager back in the days and having certain ideas or certain, I don't know, themes versus what you are nowadays. Have you seen certain kind of changes in terms of being metal?
As in myself? Or?
Yeah.
No, not really, no. I've always been the same.
So you're like stubborn
yes.
in a way. All right, let's take a little bit of foreseeing skills. And what would happen with Sarastus, say, next 3 years, 5 years? What are your plans on the long run?
I think more albums, more gigs, like international gigs, most definitely, because that is one of my dreams, to play abroad much as possible, not only, you know, like, you know, Sweden or Norway, not in the Nordics, but Central Europe, definitely, because the black metal scene in Central Europe is very impressive, in my opinion.
Which is more important to you as a musician, playing live or making albums?
Making albums, definitely, because I make it for myself, mostly.
Meaning you do riffs that you want to listen to yourself and songs that you want to go and listen to, or?
Songs that I like myself. I like the whole, how every riff is combined, the lyrics, the vocals, everything. It's like for myself mostly, because I find it as a hobby.
Have you done any riffs or even full songs which you have regretted later on?
Yes.
Why? Or which ones? I don't know, you don't need to mention, but if you have some examples, like what would you not do anymore?
I think there are a few songs on the first album, for example, and I think those songs, like, over the years, they just kind of became boring to me, because, you know, you improve as a musician and you progress through making new riffs and new stuff. So I find the new album as an experiment to what people like and what I like as well, because that's the main point of it. So.
All right, before I let you go, now in the audience, I hope people are like figuring out, okay, I want to listen to this band, I want to figure out what they're all about, what the music is like. If you get to choose, maybe say song or two from your catalog so far, which one would you say these are the starting points for a new fan of Sarastus?
Oh boy, that's a good question. I think from the first album, Tielle Tuntemattomalle, because it has the basic Finnish black metal riffage. It also has thrash metal, speed metal elements to it. And then second song, I think from the second album, Into the Necropolis, the title track. It's much slower than the other Sarastus songs, because we kind of want to play fast as possible, but that song itself is a bit slower, like mid-tempo, and it has like melodic riffs and very good lyrics. So I think those two songs would be a way to go.
All right. Let's assume the audience has now enough information to figure out what this band is all about. It's a good band. It's a very, very Finnish sounding black metal. So do your homework now. You will find links provided in the description box. And of course, if you like it, like I always say, go buy it. This is Sarastus, and we're gonna witness it later on tonight live, and maybe I will comment later on myself underneath the the interview, how it was, and all that stuff. Now, when you have the chance, start listening, and if you also have the chance to witness them live, do it. This is Rauta, this is Sarastus, stay metal and stay brutal. Kiitos.
Kiitos.
Alright, napsitaan vielä valokuvat, niin mennään siitä eteenpäin.